Well, Steph Shell, I think you're the bee's knees.
Oh, thanks, Brock.
I do, always have.
Being the bee's knees.
But in this particular way of being the bee's knees, it's Kidz Konnection. First, I just want to celebrate it. I think it's like a beacon for Encounter Church.
It's church, as good as church, because we want our kids to know about Jesus. And we need people to speak into their lives. The impact that a volunteer has on a child's life has ripple effects that could literally affect them for the rest of their lives. And not just the kid, their parents, their siblings, generation after generation after generation. It's what we're told. We were promised, actually, that when we're faithful, it'll generation after generation. So what we do now will affect the church, this church and the church forever.
And Jesus, the reason that you see him with children in the scripture is not arbitrary. Everything in his ministry is done on purpose to teach then and to teach into the future. And that time he spends with them and the way he speaks about them, the way he rebukes his own disciples, he's speaking of a treasure that we need to take seriously. And that really descended on my heart as a parent. The Lord speaks of our children as arrows. What an interesting analogy that we're, a quiverful of arrows. And also I've been such a product of people pouring in. This is not just something you're saying. These things, you remember them. And even if you don't ever get to tell them, you remember them. And the things we do, like think about the things we do in a week that don't have eternal significance. I'm not saying those things aren't important, but a good thing to think about is kingdom work, and children are it's like somebody came up to you and was like, here's kingdom work right here.
It's right here. And it's actually kind of fun and messy, but we give you a t-shirt. I'll shout out for Impact Youth too. But if you want to see some of the fruit of what you've done in Kidz Konnection, volunteer in youth, and I just love watching from kids some of our kids we've had from the time they were born, and now they're 16, 17, getting ready to graduate, going to college, 18 years old, and just seeing their faith really come to life.
Wow.
What they learned, and they remember a lot of what we taught them in Kidz Konnection. And some of it's not all Kidz Konnection. We believe very strongly that it's just as important, like what happens in the home. And you've got way more time at home to talk to your kids than we do. But we get to see that growth from birth all the way through high school when you're a volunteer in youth group or a youth group leader. And it's just precious. It is precious to watch. More than half the building on Sunday morning is used by Kidz Konnection,
I think. It's just so cool.
We've been averaging each service in the 20s of 4th and 5th graders. And we have to keep them together because we also don't have enough leaders to make 2 groups. But our hope for the next year is to have a 4th grade group and a 5th grade group at each service in the 15s to 20s of kindergartners, each service. So if they all showed up at the same time, we'd be really in big trouble. It's not a problem we complain about. It's a problem we need to face. And it's one of the reasons we're talking. So we're out of space, but we're making it work. Are getting ready to start recruiting for the fall. We suck a lot of volunteers out on Sunday mornings. We take a lot. So sorry to the greeters and the parking people and the worship team. Sorry, but we're taking all the good people. No, I'm kidding. There's good people doing all the things. And we also know not everybody is geared towards kids
You
stuff.
are like a bunch of blue ants. On a Sunday morning.
Ann called us the blue shirt
everywhere.
army.
The blue shirt army. I like that better. It's better. I think it's beautiful. And I know we're always saying that, we need people. But that's just the truth.
It's reality. You can't have 200 kids show up on Sunday morning and not have the people there. In Kidz Konnection, called a cycle of values. We value creating a safe and fun environment for children to grow in their faith. One of the reasons we do that is so that parents feel comfortable leaving their kids with us so that they can go then and learn from you and from Ted and whoever's speaking. That is so important. If you don't do Kidz Konnection because you love kids, consider doing it because you want to give parents that hour to grow and learn and fellowship and worship gift we give to parents every week. Really work hard to let teenagers serve. But between a third and a half of our volunteers are in 6th grade through 12th grade. You're allowed to serve younger if you have a parent serve with you. Reel them in a little bit. So a kid comes up and says, I really want to help with babies. Well, you'll have to get your mom or dad to help. We're not dummies. We know what we're doing. And one of the top predictors of a teenager staying involved in a church as a young adult and beyond is meaningful service.
Yeah.
So getting the chance to work in Kidz Konnection, work in your booth, work in the parking lot.
Feel like you're a part of the body. It's very obvious.
It makes them part, and it makes them feel needed. So they don't see the church as just serving them. They see the church needs me, or it won't go on, which is true.
Which is not a con.
No, it's for real.
That's just like brass tacks.
We could not do what we do on Sunday mornings without our crew of teen leaders. We just couldn't do it. And they're amazing. They're amazing.
My boys think that the older boys that teach them are just the coolest thing ever.
And all of us, our hope is that they see that and say, I want to be like them someday.
For sure. When we're asking the church body to rise to the occasion, the first side of the coin is they already do that. And I do want to celebrate. To speak to them like they're not serving is not doing that justice, right? But then the other side of that coin is the gauntlet being thrown down, and that we're obviously growing. It doesn't take any kind of awareness to see that. That just does require that new people, maybe new people to our church, or people that have had a pressing on their heart before and haven't been obedient. All those people, we're bone on bone, and that's a great thing. That's a tough needle to thread. We're already a church massively volunteering.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But we just are shooting you straight. This is what the Lord, this is a harvest the Lord has given us. We know that workers are here. And it's more like you don't know what you don't know. Sam Kiefer told me that. Like, you don't know what you don't know. And it's kind of like, that's the point of these videos. Maybe you didn't even know. It's possible.
Yeah. If you don't have children or grandchildren, or you don't ever go past the doors, you wouldn't even know what was going on back there. Same with youth ministry. If you didn't happen to show up on a Monday night or a Thursday night, you wouldn't know the needs there. Like, for instance, when you walk in the door, if nobody was there to greet you, you would be like, oh, there's nobody here to greet me. But you wouldn't know what we need everywhere else. And we do need those greeters are important. Welcome centers important. Parkers, good gracious. They're like more important now than they've ever been.
Those guys are like magicians out there.
It is ridiculous how crazy the parking lot is. You're right. This is what the whole point of this is, right? To let people know what we need.
Let's do the ask.
A few spots that we have space right now. We have openings in our nursery. That's the most sweetest place to be. That's just literally snuggling babies. We have several spots in our grade school. That's kindergarten through 5th grade. And Kids Check. So if you are like, I'd love to help in Kidz Konnection, but I am not down with working with children, we have people whose jobs it is help anybody with their check-in.
Those people are lifesavers because I never get the check-in right.
Right. They are lifesavers.
I don't know what the heck's going on.
I don't know how to change the label maker, the labels. Right. I can't change them. I'm hopeless. I've tried. I always mess it up. Actually, anywhere in the whole church body. I mean, Ted just talked about it last week. There's no, worship is super important. But y'all would have a really terrible time.
I mean, this church would be 1,000 times cooler if there was an actual good worship leader.
Whatever.
Here.
No, worship is so important, but you wouldn't want to have it every week with 200 kids in there too. It would be really distracting. But, would the parents keep coming with their kids if they didn't have really good worship? No, we're all in this together. And there's no part of us that is any more important than the other. So there's no Kidz Konnection job that's any more important than the other. And we are called, like Jesus gave us skills and gifts and callings to serve. That's what we're here for.
And it is so fulfilling. I mean, I say this all the time, but it'll transform your life. I'll speak for the congregation. You're just wonderful. And the church body is really blessed. The church family is blessed by it. The community's blessed by it. Every time I see one of those blue shirts, I say it every time, even when it's awkward. I'm like, thank you for pouring into my children. And I really encourage the church body to do that because it allows you to remind yourself of the people that are doing that. It's like a really good thing to be encouraging and lauding, bringing to the attention of. And I only mention that now because I think you guys do that really well. I think you guys do that well. Every time I speak to you about the ministry, you're always talking about other people. You're always talking about what other people do. So yeah, there's the gauntlet. It's been thrown down as a church family, and I have no doubt that we'll meet it.
Everybody. I have not yet met a single person who doesn't look good in the blue shirt.
Makes the eyes
pop. It
pop.
makes you a more attractive person. Wearing the blue shirt.
Yeah, if you're at a 6 and you want to go to an 8.
The blue shirt.
This is the best sales pitch I have ever heard. Yeah. Alex, I'll take $500 for a pitch on Kidz Konnection that is not biblical at all.